everyone. Welcome to another episode of EngageCast. This is me, Priyam, and we have a very special guest today on the show. We have Ashwin from Adda 52, and he's going to talk to us about how COVID has impacted the gaming industry and his insights on how gaming's engagement and the industry's response to COVID has been so far. So, without further ado, hi Ashwin, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Priyam, how are you?
I'm doing great. What about you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. So, Ashwin, it will be nice if you could give a quick introduction about yourself and what you do at Adda, and of course, a bit about Adda as well to our listeners.
Okay. So we are into online gaming. So it's pretty much on for Rummy and poker. And I manage the poker piece. I manage loyalty and retentions for the poker vertical. So we are based out of Gurgaon, and yeah, so that is it.
Awesome,
And
awesome. So, we have had quite a few guests so far on the show, but
mhm.
surprisingly, nobody from gaming yet. And
Okay.
I have a lot of questions. I'm a massive gamer by heart. I absolutely
Oh,
love
okay,
gaming. Yeah, and
okay.
no, I've not really started in the skill-based games section yet,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely interested to find out about the impact of COVID that has been basically been wreaking havoc in so many other industries. So,
Correct.
my first question, obviously, to you is how has COVID impacted the gaming industry?
So, what I would say is it's not due to COVID, but yeah, the lockdown has impacted a lot. So the changes that the government has made across, like, people can't go out and everything, that has actually impacted a lot. People are at home, they're working, they now can manage their family and everything. So they get time also to maybe, log in, learn a new game maybe, or people who are already playing with us, they would have a higher session time than compared to before.
Hmm.
So that is actually maybe a blessing for us, kind of way.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it is actually a good thing. During COVID, the traffics have gone up. There is a huge game time that we have seen increased during this period. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, in the same time, there's a lot of so we need to manage a lot of things. So we had to scale up the infrastructure.
Hmm.
There's such a huge traffic was coming in, and
Hmm.
new users getting acquired to different
Hmm.
channels. And I think there was also a lot of cross platforms happening. So a person who was maybe playing Rummy has started now playing poker, or maybe someone who was playing some free games has now started playing real money games. So
Interesting.
there has been a shift also. So yeah.
So, so Ashwin, my question is a little bit about understanding your response, or rather, Adda
Hmm.
52's response. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned that you had to shore up your infrastructure and, of course, prepare for this onslaught of new user base, new users coming to the platform. Uh,
Correct.
Was this preempted by any chance when the news of COVID started breaking out, or this was purely a reaction?
No, it was planned. It was preempted because we all knew that India is going to get impacted with COVID, and we had so earlier also we had certain you know big campaigns that were going out. So we had this infrastructure planning in mind. So that was not a difficult part on us, and we did actually achieve shifting all the employees to their homes, make them work from home, and then also scale up the infrastructure. So it
Amazing.
was not a surprise to us, kind of. And in gaming you usually are prepared because gaming is such that it's not a pure e-commerce platform where a person comes and just buys and then goes out. It
Right.
stays on the platform. So yeah, so there is a lot of concurrency. So we work on a lot of concurrency factors here.
Interesting. Interesting. And you mentioned that you handle the rummy piece, right, at Adda 52,
No, poker piece. I
the poker
manage the
piece.
poker piece. Yeah.
The poker piece. Awesome. And this is real money gaming that we're talking about over here.
Right,
So,
right.
so compared to the situation now, were you experiencing any kind of a spike in real money gaming with respect to, let's say, poker? And of course, if you directly compare that time period to post COVID times, was there any
Mhm.
additional kind of spike that you saw in RMG player base increasing?
Yes, we did. So immediately after the lockdown started, we saw a lot of spike in our user base, and a lot of new users came to our website. So, but I think these users were not pretty much the regular ones. These were more of the recreational ones. Maybe group of friends trying to play poker online. So create a private table or something, and then start playing with each other. So these kind of things that happened. So a lot of so I think here the referral part worked for us. So if one user out of the out of the 10 friends that were playing with us, the one user was actually maybe uh, playing with us maybe in the last few months. So he actually got the other 9 guys onto our platform. So that was
Awesome,
one of the cases.
awesome, awesome. I'll get into that most definitely. I want to understand a bit about the platform itself. So, do you have a free game section also right now, apart from
Yeah,
the
we
RMG?
do.
Awesome,
We do.
awesome.
We do.
And the idea is generally to migrate the user from
Correct.
the
Correct.
free to
Correct.
the paid kind of thing.
The paid. Correct.
Right, right. I was talking to a few other folks from the RMG industry, and the general consensus was that they were experiencing a lot of growth in RMG and skill-based games,
Mm-hmm.
and that has accelerated insanely in this particular time period because of probably the same reasons. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
would you attribute COVID with the same kind of growth that you personally experienced in poker?
So you're saying purely because of COVID, is that the growth you were
A
looking at?
massive attribution to COVID, probably because people were spending a lot of time at home.
Would attribute that to COVID. But then the later engagements were obviously due to our channels that we use or the campaign that we use. But yeah, there is a part where we could attribute to COVID.
Interesting, interesting. So, COVID probably was a very effective acquisition channel of sorts for you guys,
Correct.
so to say, in a way. And of course, getting
Correct.
them from the free to the paid platforms was a part of your communication strategy internally, which you
Correct.
basically have.
Correct.
So, so do help us understand a little bit about that, Ashwin. How
Hmm.
does a typical user engagement strategy work
Okay.
for a guy who basically joins up for one of the free games?
Okay. So I can tell you a journey, maybe the journeys that we have set up on WebEngage. So
Sure.
where a new user, he just signs up on and he starts playing free roll chips, and then maybe after a few days we try and maybe send him a deposit code, which is like a first time deposit, and try to make him enter into our real money gaming journey. So that is one of the uh, you know strategies that we use. And in that journey, we try to engage him and make him understand how the game works. So since this is a skill-based game, you need to understand a lot of nitty-gritties, probabilities, and so it's not pure luck-based. So I can say poker is more of maybe 70% skill and 30% luck. So yeah, so we have a journey where maybe in the first few days we tell them about what is poker, how do you play it, the basics, and then we gradually tell him about all the strategies that you can use in poker. And we also promote a lot of responsible gaming here. So since it's real money gaming, we don't want a new user to just finish off his bankroll and he just goes bonkers with that. So we don't want to do that. So it's a gradual process. It takes around 30 days, and we try to take him to that process and slowly get him to RMG. That is
Awesome,
how it
awesome.
is.
So about a 30-day kind of an onboarding period
Correct. Correct.
for this individual to learn the nuances of poker and probably then
Correct.
get him on board. Awesome,
Correct.
awesome. Uh, well, first of all, I think that's a really great thing to do as a fellow gamer. I think I would definitely appreciate that kind of care being
Mm.
taken by a company.
Okay.
Second thing that I want to understand over here is Did your communication strategy evolve in any way after the impact of COVID, when you kind of realized that people are spending a lot more time gaming on my
Hmm.
platform?
Hmm.
Did you in any way acknowledge the ongoing pandemic, or probably try to acknowledge the fact that something like this is happening outside the world? Did it affect your engagement strategy in any way?
It actually did. So, not purely because of the pandemic stuff. It was what we were doing was the same. Nothing much changed during the pandemic. But yeah, we actually, since this was kind of a crisis, so we had to, make sure that people don't splurge on this.
Yes.
Yeah, so we also wanted to promote a lot of we respect their time, so we wouldn't do a lot of over communication to the players. We would look at maybe if there is some crisis going on at their end, maybe they're not responding on social, we wouldn't over communicate to the user. So all these things were taken care of. And also, as I said, responsible gaming was one of the things that we took care during this crisis times.
All right. So basically, the idea was to probably not send too many messages. And
Yeah.
okay, very interesting, because we heard some contrasting views from a lot of different marketers from different industry verticals, of course.
Hmm.
The question that I'm going to pose to you as well right now is, what, according to you, would be the right kind of engagement strategy that a brand should engage in
Hmm.
during during a pandemic, let's say? Is it right to probably over communicate?
Uh, Over communication is not the answer here. Maybe a story driven engagement would maybe work here. So people who have played on such sites would have a certain kind of you know mindset.
Hmm.
So these are not regular gamers who play PUBG or something. These are responsible gamers. They have families. There are a lot of full time poker players. So their bread and butter is actually poker. So it's a very different gaming industry in terms of what do you say.
Like a casual gamer.
Yeah. It's not a casual game. It's a very
Hmm.
serious game.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's very important that how we communicate and when we communicate, and it should not overburden the user with a lot of communication and a lot of content going through it. So
Hmm.
that is one of the things. And we have a lot of VIP players also. So
Okay.
we make sure that these VIP players are looked upon properly. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, so that is a different team that looks after them.
Awesome. Awesome. So, with respect to a purely a communication strategy for your target audience, which you have just described, which
Hmm.
is that of a very serious kind of a gamer who really knows his game, he knows what he is there for.
Hmm.
What is the agenda of your communication strategy at the end of the day?
Okay, so our game actually works on two things. So one is purely gamification, and the second is loyalty program. So there's a lot of milestone-based gamification that we have, and we do engage these users over a period of 1 or 2 months, and make them engage with us maybe for that long. So he's kind of committed to the platform. So we try and increase the stickiness and maybe leverage on that, and maybe he doesn't go to our competitors. That is
Hmm.
what we want at
Hmm.
the end of the day. So
Hmm.
we do a lot of gamification and loyalty driven campaigns across these users, so that the maybe the wallet share doesn't shift to some other competitor.
Super. So, I think it definitely makes sense to uh, have a unique experience for your sharks, so to say,
Yes,
your
yes,
big spenders, and definitely take special care of them. Uh,
correct.
I am pretty sure that during this pandemic, uh, there were a lot of these new users who were coming on, who were probably casual gamers, probably
Hmm.
spurred by certain referrals from an existing
Correct,
kind of
correct,
pro gamer. A large percentage of these users would probably not be very serious gamers. They're definitely there to experience the game, but have played
correct,
some game in the past.
correct.
Did you guys employ any kind of a different kind of communication and engagement strategy to uh, nurture them in a different way as compared to your regular clientele, your regular target audience?
Uh, Not really. But actually, we saw that a lot of users are playing private tables on our platforms. So that is what was something new. So we understood that, okay, there are a lot of people that are coming through referrals and a lot of, group of friends that are playing. So that was one set of new users that we saw. So we had a different strategy for them. We tried to, increase the number of tables on private tables. We tried to, get more concurrency on these tables so that, there is a proper, uh, good pool of players at that point of time and maybe create concurrency on a
Got it.
day. So these were the certain changes that we did on certain tables, and also on other tables we did a lot of increase of concurrent tables across.
Got it.
So these are small changes, but not really much larger
Understood.
ones. Yeah,
Understood. From what I gather, the idea was to provide the best possible experience in real time for these gamers,
correct.
to ensure that they have good players, enough players in the table playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Understood. Understood. I think that makes sense, because I remember playing an online poker game somewhere, and we kept
Hmm.
changing tables frequently because we couldn't find enough players on
Enough
the table.
players. Right,
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 right, right.
right.
Which is a big issue.
Correct.
Makes sense. How important is the customer experience agenda, Ashwin, in
Hmm.
online gaming?
Customer experience. So,
When I say the in-game experience, and of
hmm.
course the platform experience.
So for me, the customer experience is purely very customer centric. So you need to have a lot of maybe crisis management. What I said. So we do a lot of responsible gaming stuff. We promote responsible gaming. So there, the customer feels very protected. Okay, this platform really cares for me, and that is where we can increase the customer experience there. Also, we do a lot of feedback surveys where we get to know that what changes needs to be made on the product. So we do it in a very humanized way. So we have certain people who are allocated for such things, and taking feedback over social or maybe one to one over calls. And we also deploy a lot of pros that we have. So so I could just explain you what a pro is. So he represents a brand. So he's kind of a poker player in India, and he kind of represents a brand. So then he speaks to a lot of high value players also, and he gets a lot of feedback out of them. So that also helps on increasing the customer experience across.
Amazing, amazing. Sort of like an evangelist of sorts, or helping build
Yeah,
evangelists.
yeah, yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Um, Now, Ashwin, you mentioned a very interesting point uh,
Mm-hmm.
about loyalty programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Very, very important for getting people who have extremely high intent, who are these professional players, to kind of remain with your platform.
Right.
Now, has your retention strategy evolved in any way in the past few months due to the pandemic? And if it has, what is it that is working really well for you guys, and what is
Mm-hmm.
it that you plan to kind of change?
Okay. So it's again, I would just want to refer that it's not purely because of the pandemic. We actually do a lot of experimentation on our retention strategies, and we keep doing that. So and we keep tracking those things and maybe learn from them, and then maybe which is not working, we just discard them. So that is how it works. So it is a continuous process. So during the pandemic and the last 2 months, we were looking at a lot of micro data where behavioral data where how is it changing on a day-to-day basis, because right now during pandemic the behavior was very different than last 2 months. So that is,
Interesting.
yeah, so that is one thing where the time of day, the session time, game time, the money that he's wagering, everything had changed. So how do you make sure that he needs to be communicated with the right offer or maybe with the right communication? How do we do that? Because his behavior has changed. Maybe maybe he is maybe he's not earning that much that he was, or maybe he wants to save the money just for crisis management. So these are certain things and behaviors that had changed. So we had to keep in mind all these things and maybe create our campaigns that way. So
Understood.
in terms of loyalty also, we had a lot of campaigns in loyalty where we also looked at these things and maybe tried and pushed such campaigns.
Got it. Did retention become harder by any chance in this time period? Did you experience a dip in the number of users, or it was the opposite, where you saw a lot of people staying back, a lot more people kind of playing a lot more?
I would say there was an increase. The retention numbers were very good. So it's kind of recalibrated now. It's now normalized. So it's similar to the OTT space that is going on and any gaming that you see. So right now, obviously, the lockdown has been pulled up by certain states. So now people have gone back to their work. So now, obviously, now it's now normalized at their level. So yeah, it's not the way that it was when the pandemic started.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's actually but more than the previous months. But yeah, not at the level where we were seeing it during the pandemic.
Understood.
Yeah.
So Ashwin, with respect to marketing, engagement, and growth, what are your three biggest priorities? And what was it that you were doing differently due to the impact of COVID?
So for me, the best strategy would be in product messaging and maybe story driven content marketing. So in gaming, usually stories are a lot more seen and appreciated, and and people get excited with that. So if you say that if he sees a banner where a user has won maybe 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs, he would obviously get interested in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are like story driven content marketing that we do a lot. So this is not something which is different and which we did during COVID. It was been done before, but during COVID we did a lot of influencer marketing. So we spoke to a lot of celebs who did fit in our demographic and user base, age group, and everything. So we tried to have a lot of videos, brand videos. We did a lot of branding on them. So they used to post some videos playing the game. So that actually worked for us during COVID. So since they were also not working, the celebs were not working actually. So we showed that they are playing in their homes, in their comfortable homes, and then even you can go and play in your comfort, in your home for comfort. So such things were actually promoted more during COVID.
Awesome, awesome. It was very great to hear that influencer marketing in the gaming space has been leveraged effectively. So this is a generic kind of question, Ashwin.
Hmm.
There has been a lot of talk about consumer behavior evolving really quickly because of the pandemic,
Hmm.
and it has also shown cracks in the economy, and a sort of a crisis has also been looming in the horizon, and people are a bit scared to spend money, and their habits have been curved a little bit. So a lot of these
Correct.
kind of recessionary trends are being seen in the market right now. uh,
Hmm.
so so it'll be, I mean, being industry agnostic over here, as a marketer, what do you think is the best kind of growth strategy right now?
Uh, yes, I truly believe that a person is now concerned more that he needs to save more. Maybe something bad is going to happen in the future. So obviously, its behavior has changed during these times. As a marketer, you do what you do. So that is the mantra that a marketer should have. So growth is the one thing that you should look at. So yeah, we are doing what we can do. We do a lot of campaigns, a lot of gamification to keep them engaged and also make them well aware of the situation, how it is, and keep them close to us in terms of make them loyal to us, make them feel protected. So all these things. So it's all about he has a lot of trust in us. So that kind of feeling that we want to create during these times. But yeah, of course, but as a marketer we would do what we actually do. So, yeah.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I resonate with the point. Uh, internally we were having the same discussion about the kind of engagement that should really work right now. And one thing that really stood out was the fact that brands need to be like a superhero right now, right? Somebody that the customers should look up to.
Correct.
And I think we have been seeing a lot of those good examples. I'm going to ask you, of course, one last question before we end the chat. Is what do you think are some of the uh, big no-nos in marketing in this time? What are those things that marketers should definitely avoid at this point of time?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning I told you about over communication. You should avoid doing that during these times purely. Also respect the time of day of the user. So maybe don't nudge him too much. Don't make a lot of outbound calls to that person during these times. You have to be short, and your communication should be very short and sweet. So these are the things that you should do, and obviously over communication is a total no-no. And respect the user's time.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashwin, for your time and for all of those insights. I really enjoyed
Thank you.
this
Thank you.
conversation. Thank you so much, Ashwin.
Thank you, Priyam. As it was a pleasure talking to you.